Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome y'all to the show. We're getting ready for the year 2020, so we want to drop some knowledge and some jewels for you all that's listening. And I couldn't do that without having my partner, my rider, man, somebody who's been riding with me, man, since day one, man, who's been sharing information and who studies, and he shares that information that he studies with you all. So make sure, man, you all keep him in your prayers. And, we appreciate him for his work. And that is none other than Low Key. Low Key, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Man, what's going on, Brother Black?
Oh, it's all good, man. Hey, man, I really appreciate having you on the show, getting ready as we walk into the year 2020, which I call we going into the year 4, which that means then all your actions and everything has to be squared at this particular dispensation in time, meaning that everything that you think, say, and do has to be justified. We can no longer at this point randomly just throw something out in the wind. We have to now provide the backup, whether it be mathematics or science, or even if, like Loki always does when he refer you back to the book page or where the information came from, or who actually said the knowledge as a reference, so you can partake in the knowledge that's being shared, so people don't sit back and take it as something that's not serious. The knowledge that we share is very serious. It's based upon mathematics and science, and it has a purpose, or it's detailed to help you along the way, no matter which way you perceive it. It's based on actual facts, and it can be justified. So I just had to say that, because as we walk into this new year, it's a very important year. 2020, how did I come to year 4? Well, 20 and 20 is, to wrap the 2 zeros, and 2 plus 2 is 4. Numerology, So, Brother Lil Key, I know 2019, towards the end of 2019, was challenging for you because your father passed, and I'd like to send, and me and listeners and this show, Verbal Pick Radio, would like to send our condolences to you. But would you like to speak on that?
Yeah. So, Popo transition, and for the last few weeks before he transitioned, he was in emergency and dealing with cancer, diabetes, and other things. And my big brother Romy came down, and my lady was with me and held it down. And a lot happened, man. A lot happened. I learned a lot. It was a quickening. Very, in terms of when I say, very spiritual, just in terms of, it was moments. It was, very, serious moments. And with those serious moments comes understanding,
right,
from the experience.
Next
and
Now, about to ask you, can I ask you, but before he made his transition, did he let you know or give you any kind of inclination that is getting close to that time?
He said one of the things that I noticed over the change, that every time we got through talking, he would always say, "I love you."
Yeah.
Before he made this transition.
Yeah. See, when
it wasn't. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm about to say, when my father passed, he told me one day, man, on his matter of fact, we were celebrating his birthday. and he told me, he said, Vince, I'm not gonna be here too much longer, something to that effect. And I was like, because it just was out the blue, and it kind of stunned me. I didn't know how to respond, but I was like, nah, you all right. We gonna roll, keep doing, you know what I mean, trying to cheer him up. But it dawned on me that people say no. They know when they getting ready to go. They know. When the time is coming close, and they start just preparing everybody,
Right.
forward. And it just
Right.
it was wild, and I find myself, and I don't know if you experienced this, but you will as time goes forward. I find myself now saying something, catching myself saying some of the things that he'd say, or I catch myself sitting the way he used to sit in his chair. And I'm like, wow, man, it made me realize that it's true that we are a part of each other. The father becomes the father was the son. He becomes the father. Then the son is the son, but then it's time the son becomes the father, and it goes on and on.
Yeah.
The father and son, where it says, my will is my father's will, or my father and I should have the same will. That's true, because the genetic makeup, the essence, that seed, that's how you live on through the hereafter, as they say. Would you agree?
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. And also, the spirit aspect, and, my father, right off the rip was communicating with me through music. Just to let me know, okay, I need to pay attention to the detail. I'll look at who's the singer, what time, I'll look at what's going on around me at that time and have that conversation that way. That's how, one of the ways that we communicate. And, for me, I, went in and took some time out and did the correspondence to, Pops and my nephew, Draquan, for what forms of energy that, just so happened to already be dealing with that line right on up.
Right. And your nothing in your nephew Draquan?
Yeah, my nephew Draquan, Marquez Brown.
Okay.
My father, Ricky Jerome Brown, Senior.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, I will say, though, that, it's a lot of template energies that I deal with. So, I right off the rip, I already knew, like, okay, this is, it's similar to, like, people who, or they want to say kindred spirits, or people who are alike, the five, some, might say alike, or like-minded, and that's correspondence. So, you may know a person who, like I do, who is in the war. So I already know if I'm going to a template to be able to have a conversation with that person from a subconscious angle, then I can tell that person, okay, well, you are this energy. And it is what it is, and we can build off of that, and vice versa. They can tell me the same. So it's the same, as the astrology with the Aquarius and the, Taurus and all of these, these templates, energies, which is just identifying something that is akin to a fixed variable, a favorite color, a favorite song, or songs that they like. And this is how you can have another conversation or look at it from another angle, from a subconscious perspective when it comes to just, symbols. Because, we even see these, these deities or these template energies in forms of art. And within the art, they'll have a whole lot of symbols around, that particular deity, and everything around it, means something and evokes something. And same thing with movies. Movies are cut into, like what you were saying earlier, squares. They're on a reel. It's not one continuous motion. It's broken up into frames, and each frame is a work of art, and it's a symbol. And the way that they structure movies is everything is extremely detailed down to the toe polish, to every placement, even product placement, but background placement. Everything is meticulous because each frame is a picture, and it's a picture being painted over what they call a film over that, lapse in time. So, so that's just, that's part of how the subconscious speaks in the language of symbolism. And so I just lined that up with my father and my nephew just to look at it from another angle, And one thing, and just one thing to add on as far as angle, because this is principle of correspondence too for the Kabbalion, is one of the teachers in MMA said that for him it's all about the angles. So that's like a perspective, and even combat. People have different ways that they look at their form, and for him it was angles. So that's correspondence. Just want to add that on.
So, okay. Let me gather this real quick. So, a being clothed in flesh, but has this spirit or this energy that the flesh or the body houses. But the individual, who they are, is not that flesh. It's that energy that the flesh is just a housing for that energy.
Right.
So you saying that I'm not saying you saying this, but this is what I'm gathering. So that energy will be attracted to, or will be attracted to other energies, whether it be in music or film or art form, that energy would say, I like this song because of the musical arrangement or the frequency that it gives off. It matches that person's energy. And that person's energy can share the energy or the vibrational or the vibration that the rhythm of whatever particular instrument gives off. That energy of the individual, of the person, can correspond with that energy of whatever instrument is played, because are we all made up, or I know we all made up of all the elements in the earth, whether it's zinc, iron, or calcium or whatnot. But when you get into the vibration and energy of the total makeup of an individual's energy, is that like saying that you whatever instrument that as being played in the music, that like you can hear a song and it could be 5 people in the car, but that one person picks up on something and identifies with it because that's it because it shares that expression with that instrument or that pitch or that sound. Man, it's hard to get out with that pitch or that instrument of sound, letting people know that this is my I'm writing on this energy, and if you feel this energy too, we feeling each other.
Right.
You understanding me. You can understand me through this pitch.
Right.
Because everybody else might hear the pitch and it's just they don't fit, they don't understand it. But they can take that pitch and say, since your father, you the son, he can take that pitch of that frequency and say, this is part of my energy. It's speaking, that vibration is speaking to you through me.
Right. Right. And it's what it is another type of relationship that we really always had, even before, family transition. When we down here, we co-create. When people have energy exchanges, they co-create with their moments. And so that's something that is metaphysical, but that's because when two living souls come together and both of their subconscious is a part of what's going on in the reality around them, then that's where the co-creation comes into play, where both of their subconscious is making things manifest around them. So as their realities come into contact with each other.
Wow, bro. So, wow, bro, that's just heavy. That's like saying, if you can get past the physical makeup of an individual and get into the energy and communicate through energy versus communicating through materialism, that's a whole nother world, bro. That's a whole nother realm. That's a whole nother mindset to. Yeah, but let me hold on. Let me make sure this though. Did we? Was that a science that we knew and we lost and we getting back to it, or is it something just new, totally new altogether?
Yeah, I mean the concept is as history says, it was a science that we had and we lost, and is now found. Or another angle is that it's just a reference point of, well, it could be worse. My nigga could have went through slavery, so I mean that's if person could look at it that way and say being born in this time is a blessing, if they want to compare it to the concept of history.
Right, that's true.
So,
But that's salvation. I'm saying, if somebody, say somebody comes from the east, wherever, and they come to deliver a message that'll uplift a segment from disparity or they just in a hard place, but they reject them because they didn't like the clothes they had on. They judging with the physical eye, and they turn away because they couldn't see the sincerity of the person's spirit. The hang-ups, meaning what I'm gathering is, and man, this is pretty heavy, but what I'm gathering is yeah, you're right. If we can get past the trivial and look deeper into what's real, then that's one of the elements of becoming or creating your own reality, creating your universe.
Right.
Because what would be stopping a person from creating their own universe is because they looking at it through the wrong lenses, or they putting the material as being number one versus the energy or the spiritual.
Right.
I mean,
right.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna add one thing that this, really push for me, spirit-wise, motivation-wise, and, even some numerology, is I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast when Black Panther came out in Wakanda, and this concept of taking nature and putting it with, modern technology, putting it into one thing, and they showed it in that movie, and they showed it with the movie Predator, the whole Predator series, and, the Predator had locks, and, that was symbolic for, the African man or woman. And even though I think all the predators may have been males, I don't know if they had females, but nevertheless, so living in a place in a city where there's so many people and so much politicking going on, it reminds me of law. And they would say that with things like Sharia law or any law, that the more people that you have, the more laws you have to govern over the people.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why, let's just say as a side note on the law side, is that the reason why Sharia law and the law, the Catholicism or the Christian law of the global Europeans, is that because it governs over a certain amount of people, there's already been so much discussions in court between the two bodies of law. So that's why, it's easy to get a Sharia compliant mortgage if you got a high enough credit score or whatever the terms are, because there's been so much contractual work between the two bodies of law as far as religious law is concerned. So that's something that people can bring to court, if they want to argue or they want to pose something to the court from another angle, use religious law, because that's as they say, in Christian law, they call the Bible the infallible word of God. So that's denoting where it stands in the conversation of law and court. So, but I know I didn't get it all the way out.
No.
What we're talking about.
Nah, bro, because it's right. It's right on point. Because what I'm gathering is, especially from the statement you just made, is that coming into the year 2020, you have to be aware of all of this. Sharia law, the Bible as being the infallible word of God, to how to use that for your sake. Meaning, the old way how we used to do things is not going to work coming into the year 2020. You have to be knowledgeable up on everything. You have to know for self-preservation. Let's put it like that. These are things that it needed to be said, but everybody got to pick up on this and learn. Meaning, we're just a catalyst. We're just a outlet for information that needs to be understood in today's time, and we put it out there for you. Whether you pick up on it and roll with it or not, you can't say you never heard it. That's what this is about. So yeah, that's excellent. So when you're in the courtroom, you need to know every what's the proper word? You need to know everything that's at your disposal for your self-preservation that you can use in a court of law. Because that's why they tell you ignorance of the law is no excuse. Because they're not going to tell you to help you win your case. Yeah, you need to know. But so yeah, man, I appreciate that. We needed that. But so now when I went to your father's service, his transition service, right? And I'm sitting there, bro.
I appreciate that too, man.
Yes, sir. No, yes, sir, brother. Man, I'm glad to be there. But I'm sitting there, but I'm telling you, man, I'm sitting there, and I was like, I'm trying to take everything in, right? And it's spirits, it's when the energy when they spoke about him, it's the pastor's sermon, and when he was speaking up on time, it's your family's energy from different parts of the state with you know what I mean? It was everything. I'm learning from everything that was right there. And I was like, wow, it's like, how can I put it? It was like the whole population of us had a representative there at his transition service.
Right.
I'm just, I'm just, looking at everything that was going on, and it's the energy, man. It's like, wow, put it like this, and I'm not trying to be offensive when I say this though, but put it like this. It was like every black indigenous tribe had a representative there. Put it like that.
Mm-hmm. True. That's true.
Yeah, it was. You know what I mean?
Great way to look at it.
And but I realized this though. I said, wow. And it was civil. It debunked the theory that we all can't come together.
Right.
Because everybody had they had their perspective, and it was respected. And it was cool, then folks went on about their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that was an example of unity. That was an example of unity gathered around your father's transition, but showing that one man can touch so many different people from so many different walks of life and perspective, and you know what I mean, and be a universal figure right there, and can and almost like the diplomat, and can deal with everybody.
Right.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
All right. Oh, I want to add on to where I was going with the nature and the modern day technology, or even blockchain technology, cryptocurrency. We stand on that because that's the next wave. It's gonna, it's taking some time, but this is a huge, transition. So it's got to be patient. But living in this, a place like in the inner city where so many people, for me, and I know, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people came to the realization that, the same way that we go to work, I've started to implement, just like a robot, putting myself on the schedule when it comes to everything, priorities that got to be handled outside of work.
Well,
and
why'd you come to that conclusion?
Man, I was already, that was already swirling around in my mind. And then, man, I had put, picture of Pops on one of my altars. And I was looking at the picture in the studio, and it was a cross behind him. And a cross is the letter T, and the letter T is the number 20. Mm-hmm. And the day was December 20th. Mm. And that was the day when I started. And it was, Pops used to always kick on me and was like, boy, when you gonna get a job, boy, when I was like 15, 14, Mm. And So when it comes to, getting up and getting out there and getting something, like, that's his spirit. I'm going all the way. That was a moment in time. I ain't gonna never forget that. I always bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what really pushed me over the edge. And I ain't saying it's gonna be easy, but all the motivation is there, and it's what's, like I always say, man. If people, if they want to be, so let's say if people, I always say people can go and live out in the jungle if they don't want to have to deal with other people. So they will have to get away from it, and then they wouldn't have to deal with the politics.
That's right.
But if people want to politic with family and loved ones, and and deal however they're gonna, wherever they live and things of that nature, then it just comes with the territory. In the jungle you can just do yoga and meditation all day and be free and eat roots and berries.
No.
But if you're gonna be out here in the concrete jungle, then with nature and modern technology, then that's just something practical. Ain't nothing deep or metaphysical. That's just something that could be life changing, because I know it is for me. Because freestyling don't work for everybody.
Right, you gonna have to deal with people. But did you find out that by knowing your father gave you an advantage coming up, as a child, to where you are now? By having a father in your life?
Man, both my parents.
Have both of your parents, right?
Both my parents, yeah, definitely.
That's right. Particularly because so many people, especially that I know, a lot of friends grew up with from elementary on who never knew their father. And, and sometimes you can tell.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to females, because they don't have an example of a man to how to pick a man or how to respect a man. It's just been that feminine energy of just mom all the time, and they don't know. I'm saying it to say it's important. And for those of us that's fathers now, it's important for the father to be in a child's life. Is to know example, because you're gonna learn a part of yourself, of who you are, through your father. But when I was coming up, and I hate we did this, bro. 'Cause I'm older than you, and I hate that those of us who had fathers in our lives, we didn't upplay that part because we knew so many who didn't. So we kind of, stayed quiet to make them feel better. Instead of now, yeah, man, look, man, hey, I don't know, but man, my father in my life, man, we going to do this, man. You know what I mean? God, thank you. You know what I mean? Yeah, thank you. We want to not play the role, but we show more sympathy for those who didn't know who their father was.
Yeah.
And we let them kind of lead. That was the story. Daddy wasn't at home. I don't know my daddy. I'm so-and-so. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, that's your business. I can get on the phone and call mine and go see him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And we let that create a culture.
Right.
But because that was the reason why back in the day you had the boys club, or you had certain mentors for those who didn't have a father. Then they would pair them up with mentors still, so they can have a man in their life to show them, man, it's hard work. You gotta get out here and get it. You gotta do so. You gotta be responsible. So and so. But they kind of X that out. They don't talk about all that, and they don't highlight that no more. Now it's about, I don't know my old man. I don't give a damn. That nigga can't so and so. Because there's a lot of people out there that go through that situation. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but the ones who knew their father, it's never been highlighted.
Right.
You know, and it should, because that's the line of divine that's been going on since beginning of time.
Right.
The Father and the Son. The Father, you hear so many stories. The Father and the Son, Father and the Son, Father and the Son. You know what I mean? Even though some didn't get along now, but they still learned from each other, though, the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
It's a learned experience. So yeah,
Yeah.
that gotta be brought in the forefront in 2020. That dynamic, that knowledge has to be brought forth too. So meaning it was an experiment, bro. I believe it was an experiment, bro. We all knew right from wrong, or whatever you perceive to be wrong, or whatever you perceive to be right. But it was like, we're gonna let this body of work, this mindset, we're gonna let this mindset, and I'm talking about black people. We're gonna let this mindset rule for a period of time. You know what I mean? We're gonna let the woman who say, I don't need a man, or he gotta have a JLB if he wanna be with me. We're gonna let that mindset rule. We're gonna let the mindset of, okay, what it's like to be in strict, hard condition and poverty. We're gonna let that mindset rule for a time. What it's like to grow up without a father figure in the house. We're gonna let exercise, let mindset rule for a time. But it's gotta be, but that's gonna come a time where, okay, the other mindset gotta flip and let that guide and lead them. Okay, what it's like. Let's talk to the child. What it's like to have a father and to be connected to your father. You know what I mean? Where you can talk to him, where you see him. You see what I'm saying? Where you know who he is. You know he exists. You see what I mean? You see him. Versus those who never seen their father, don't know where they at, or don't know it exists. Okay, what it's like for the black man not to do 20 years in the penitentiary and he owning the business. Let that be the norm now. What it's like for this child to be on the honor roll. What it's like for this child not to go to juvie. What it's like for this child to grow up and never been in the game. What it's like for this child, somebody to grow up and never been on drugs. You see what I'm saying? Going into the year 2020, a new mindset got to come into play so we can see what would society look like if we flipped everything. Because we know what it looked like on the other side. And here we all been through it, we done it, man. You know what I mean? Now, let's say if we flip it and say what it's going to look like if the majority, if we done it the opposite, if we did a 180 and see what society would look like, or what could we build out of a new mindset going into the year 2020. You know, you wake up and say, and to where it's a rarity to hear a child got shot during a drive-by, to where that's like unheard of. A child sex trafficking. Well, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Don't nobody do that. That was old. That's the old mindset. I mean, we need to bring that forth in the year 2020. You know, folks, man, it was millions of people, thousands of people, hundreds of people gathered together and had a good time. It wasn't no fight, no shootout. You know, gangs, these not gangs, these community organizers, man. Look what they done build for the community. You know, going into the year 2020, can we flip that dynamic, or am I just wishful thinking? Man, it is what it is.
Man, starts with applying this information, and getting on a schedule. That's what time it is right now. That's what the practical spirit is saying. So, just giving it a name.
Man.
But yeah, just
like you said,
just understood, man.
Mm-hmm.
And not to cut into what you're saying, is that they say that, let's say if somebody is in the dream, they're in their dreams, and they may be talking to a deity, and they'll bring that conversation back, and they may maybe be on a podcast or something and be like, okay, I talked to this deity and they said this is where the energy is at right now, so focus on it, and it's but sometimes when it comes to what our ancestors may have called the ancestral pillar or the ancestral realm, which, some have said that it's just at a point now we're just at a relative realm of family that transition, is that they'll give us practical aha moments. And, so, it ain't, it could, and that reason being because, our family was down here, they had a human experience so they can identify with it, so they have an abundance of knowledge from whatever their area expertise is when it comes to having that conversation. So when people go to the gravesite, they talk to family. Whenever they on the phone talking to family members about that family member, they're coming through. When they hear songs, when they see things that remind them of them, when they come to mind, when they come to thought, when they come to their conversation, then that's how spirit talks. It's just that simple. It ain't nothing really complicated once person just really kind of really just delves in it, deep enough. So spirit communicates in a lot of different ways, because spirit is just a science of movement. So it's just the things that move you. What moves you? Does the thought of your family member move you? Well, that's spirit. It's just that simple.
Come on.
Yeah,
makes sense. It's like you told me though. You got to be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
That's heavy. But it's truth though. That's true. That's true. Because it takes work. It takes action. It takes movement, like you said, and it takes and you need help from your ancestors though. And before we get out of here, can you talk upon the connection with the ancestors and how they help you? Because I don't want, because people forget about their ancestors, they great, and that line they come from, who is always there, moving you forward. What is that connection, and how does it work? The ancestors.
Man, that's one of the greatest gifts that, man, I got from knowledge itself, man, and from teachers like O.G. Bobby Hemming, Brother Panic, Dr. Eileen Bay, and Brother Jamal on the Gnosis, dropping that damn motherfucking science, man.
Yes, sir, my brother Gnosis.
Yeah, man.
The Brother Hemming.
And, man, and he reached out to me and we talked, man, and, really appreciate them conversations. It was heavy, man.
Yes, sir.
Heavy. While just during this time of, my family transitioning. And you too, of course, me and you black, how we get down.
Yes, sir.
And so with the ancestral realm, just going back what I was saying earlier about how when our family, because they had a human experience, they have, certain areas of expertise that they, in certain passions and fire that they had down here when they was humans. Matter of fact, I use the movie I just saw this morning, Beowulf. So in the movie Beowulf, it's like an animated movie, but it's I say go see it. Anybody, that's a tight movie. So basically, him and the other king, they showed in particular, I'm gonna use Beowulf. They showed his expertise expressed in a deity type form on there, to where it was a dragon dealing with fire, so it was symbolic of the fire that he had. So it was a warrior. So it was a warrior Kundalini type spirit, or a spirit that is equipped for combat. So for whether it was, my Uncle Will with farming and, Pops with music and, Draquan with also with music, with tutting and putting body into different symbols, tutting and stacking, putting, it's where you put your hands into different symbols and it puts your body into a whole different symbol in order to, it taps into another, template energy, because it's even with the Rastafari, when they put their hands into a diamond, they're putting their body and their hands as a part of their body into a symbol in order to draw on certain energy or to give out or to pull in. Even when the referees, when a person kicks a field goal and they hold both of their arms in the air, it's in the same shake as the field goal post. That's what they call that, the tinger, or the what do they call the little tool that they use? It's a metal tool that's in the same shape as the field goal post. Black.
Oh, that makes the sound, vibration sound.
Right. Right.
Oh man, I know what you're talking about. It's the yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about though.
Right. So that particular tool and that whenever you hold your arms up in the air is putting your body into symbol to pull down energy. Okay. So that's a ritual that they use in football, because all the energy that's being given out through everybody through the watching it and screaming out and giving out currency and giving out all of this energy to it, and they're just pulling all of it down and they're using it to power, their politics, and their business, So when it comes to the ancestors and family when they transition, all whatever they were into, they're attracted to that. So if a person is using an altar, a person will put things on the altar that they, even, matter of fact, Christians do this too. Everybody does this, whether they know it or not. They'll put up pictures, because, I know some Christians in the family, man, and I see their altars that they got up, and they, and they'll have pictures, and they'll have, maybe the booklet from, the veneration, and they may have a keepsake or something that reminds them, and that's an altar. That's all it is. Mm. It's a place of remembrance for the Christian, but as well, it's a place where they go and they meditate. Now, I would say for those who have knowledge of self, or even if they don't, that's a place where you can go and you can you can tap directly into your subconscious mind, because that altar that you set up is the altar of your state of consciousness. Is where you deal with pure subconscious, and that's where you go to program your reality. So where our family goes when they transition, they go into pure subconscious. So now we don't, the conversation has gone beyond where we're done with the conscious conversation. Now we're just having a pure subconscious conversation with our family that transition. So, you could use things and use the things around you, whatever it may be, doesn't matter what it is, and that they're attracted to, and that can get that conversation going, and that can bring in them aha moments and that intuition and that certain lineups and certain, synchronicity, and let you know you're on the right path. And also, what I'm getting back into now, getting into some astral travel and getting into having that conversation in your dreams as well, because that's another angle where if you talk to your family in your dreams, you're having a pure subconscious conversation with your family. It's, people have been trained to say that, well, it's just a dream. Well, what is your dream? Your dream is your subconscious. So what is your subconscious trying to tell you? It's trying to point you in the right direction. And as well, we help them out. One of the greatest things that we can do is we put our family that transition on to everything that we're studying, and we converse with them about it. We talk to them about it, because when you talk to your family that transition about it, you're having an energy exchange, because spirit is just a vibration and energy is just made up of vibration, the principle of vibration. So you're communicating with that vibration, with that spirit, with that thought form. You know, you're having a, you know, so as you put them on the things that they wasn't aware of when they were human, just because they're now in pure subconscious don't mean that all of a sudden they're just totally aware of everything. Because if that was the case, then people wouldn't be going through cycles of incarnation, reincarnation. Mm-hmm. You know, they're getting stuck up there in the subconscious realm, and that realm is also within the concept of space and time. So it's finite, it's limited. So one of the greatest things that we could do is have that conversation with them, where we're not just looking to quote unquote pray to the ancestors, which I don't pray to the ancestors. We have a conversation and we build, same way as we build when we was down here, and you know, in the physical, and we help each other. And as they grow, we grow together. So because they got a bird's eye view, they're in a higher vibratory place, quote unquote. So they can see further than our physical eyes can see. You know, they're where our third eye be. You know, so yeah. I can go on. No, I'd be all day about that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it brought something to mind, and I don't know if this is correct, a correct question, but it just brought something to mind. Now, say, because it reminded me of something. Somebody, I mean, check this out, bro. Someone who was a good friend of my father's, right? I ran into him yesterday. You know, we just happened to run into each other, and he was like, "Man, I sure miss your old man. He was good people," and he talking to me, right? But it kind of felt as if he was talking to his energy in me. Is that possible? Meaning that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and because you know what made me think of that, bro? Because I saw a picture of my great grandfather, right? And I'm like, okay, you know, and I haven't seen that picture in, man, I probably haven't seen that. I haven't seen that picture probably since I was in the elementary schools. And I'm kind of getting it to where those elders who understand that, although they didn't pass that information down to the future generations on how all that worked, but they still using it. And I was so clueless, I didn't know what the hell was going on. But now that I get older, I see some of the things that they were doing that wasn't making sense, but really they was communicating through that same energy or that line of divine, through family members to people that they had lost. You know, you'll find an elder person who will just be looking at you, and you sure remind me of so and so, and they'll say something. They know what's going on. You know what I mean? That might have been a science of ours, you know. Hey, wow, bruh. Wow, you know, because we're not too far removed. They say, you know, they might don't call them shamans no more, or spiritual healers, or outlet. They might don't even use those terms, but they still do the same actions. Well, I say, okay,
right.
That's what. Well, cause we back on 2020. All this knowledge and things has to come out now, because as we proceed forward, it's like creating a path, clearing a path, so we can travel to move things forward, because we can't be stagnated on the same information and knowledge that we were on, hundreds of years ago or whatnot. We gotta carve out a new path now and get into and not perfect the studies, but advance the studies for the time that's getting ready to we're getting ready to come into. Let's put it like that. For a future time. You have to prepare yourselves, because what you relied on 50 years ago, you might can't rely on that in today's time. So yeah, that's the purpose of this show. But I appreciate your insight. I appreciate you sharing your experience with us. And before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to drop to the people?
Man, rise and power to pop on J-Quan and so.
Man, that's what's up, bro. Much love, and we're not gonna get in depth on your nephew, brother Draquan, but in the future, when everything is stable, I guess, or in a position where we can speak upon it, we will, and let you all know. How much can I give out, or just don't say nothing?
I mean, I just say that, it was, man, how I feel about the police, man, so, I mean, it's the seen this story before, man, so right now, going through the legal aspect of it, and I just say it's police involved, man. So when young brothers come up, taken out, through gunfire, and it's police involved, and put two and two together. So
because as Brother Abdul said it, I would listen to him today. He said, and Brother Abdul Muhammad is one of the student ministers. He spoke at Mosque Maryam, I guess in October, but he was saying he gave it a name. He said when the police brutality, the Sandra Bland, the Tamir Rice, all of this forms of white supremacy, the injustice, that's white supremacy.
Right.
We under the system of white supremacy. But it's a way out from up under. We'll talk about that at a later date. But yeah, all over.
Just fear, just a whole demiurge, representation of fear. It's a fear. It's motivated by fear.
Motivated.
So fear can be powerful. We were born into a concept of fear. And broken into fear, beat into fear,
right,
through whippings and switches from the tree, and and unfortunately, I've seen how people thrive off of fear at times. And so that's the governing body politic. But we vibrate on a different. We thrive off of love and off of just true shit.
God, man, that's man. But but that was the purpose of Islam, because it was supposed to remove all fear, because there's only one God, so you don't fear man. And as he was saying that, quote, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't come to make you a leader of your block or your city or your town, right? Or your state. He came to give knowledge to make you ruler of the planet, the whole planet. So we looking at something wrong. Folks get the knowledge and they want to rule this. No, you get this knowledge and rule the planet. And it was supposed to be an antidote to put you in a position to rule this planet, bro. Just got work to do, man. That's all it is. You know.
Yes, sir.
That's all it is, bro. All right. Once again, man, appreciate you. Another episode, another great show. 2020, square your thoughts, square your actions. Verbal Pick Radio. Appreciate having you on the show, brother Low Key. And we out.